There's not much to do when all I can is thinking about you. Not doing well, don't know where you are, 'cause you're not here. It's been way too long. If I could lay down beside you, I would. When nothing really matters, that's all I wanna do. I hope that you are safe and that I will see you soon. If I can lay down.
Good morning, afternoon, and evening, depending on where you are around the world. We are happy to have you here in this amazing event. Thank you, Antoscience Consultancy, for this opportunity for us to build our society, our children, and our world together. It's an amazing opportunity. And today, I'm from Cameroon, as you must have seen on the flyer, but I reside in Holland. So today I will be talking to you about parenting differences between fathers and mothers and its associations with externalizing problem behavior in mostly adolescents. Now, this means that we'll be looking at how the differences between how a father parents a child and a mother parents a child, how that difference, how that gap affects the child's behavior. Most of the time we do this and we don't realize how it affects the child's behavior, but today we are going to look at this in a greater detail. We carried out a study, and in that study we found out that there actually exists a difference between how some parents, fathers and mothers, parent the same child. So it affects the child. That's what we will be talking about. And when we are going further with the discussion, I'm going to put each slide an explanation or a voice note to explain it, and then I'm also going to send maybe an animated message or something to support it. And at the end, you can see that at the end we always have time for discussion at the end. But if your question is too pressing that you need to ask, you can always put up your hand, and I will give you the chance to ask the question, especially if that question is needed to help you understand or follow the discussion or the presentation. Thank you once again, and you're welcome. Now, in the short clip above, I just put together some aspects of parenting that we are going to be touching. I just put all of them together in that one piece so that even after this presentation, you can still look at those images and you will remember probably, if not everything, but it takes you back to something that we discussed today. Now, if you look at the second interesting image of the fathers and the mothers and differences, that is an interesting one that we are still going to get there. Now, our second slide is about parenting, the parent and responsibilities. And when we talk about parenting here, we are looking at parenting as a major responsibility towards the society. Now, the first thing we have to understand as educators and as parents is that now, having spoken about parenting, the society, and all that it means to be a good parent, or to put more into parenting a child, we will now look at these differences that we want to know, the differences that exist between how a father parents and a mother parents, or differences that exist in their parenting. And we're going to look at it in two major dimensions: parenting support and parenting control. Now we will see that parents At times, mothers support more than fathers, and fathers are more the psychological figure. Fathers are always present in their children's life. Most fathers are present in their children's life in the psychological domain, but mothers are more present. They are more supportive. So we'll see that this difference causes a trouble, a bit of an issue with the children. It causes a bit of an issue with the children. And now first we are going to look at parenting support, and after we will look at the differences in parenting control. So I'm going to explain this later. If the terms are too difficult for you, don't worry, we are going to break them down as we go. Now in this slide, we're talking about the differences in parenting support. And like I said before, mothers show more support, especially physical support and so on, more than fathers. And this has a problem because we are going to see, if you look at the slide, it says that mothers score higher than fathers in parenting support. Therefore, they are more sympathetic and let go in some things that fathers will not. You see that? It means that mothers are sympathetic in nature, and therefore they let go in some of the things that fathers will not. Now, children understand their fathers this way. The children know that this is what my father has said, and that is how it is going to be. They already know that that is who their fathers are. But with mothers, because they have this support, they attach a kind of emotion to their parenting, which is not bad. They tend to, the emotion there is not bad. But what is wrong with this? In slide 5, we are going to be looking at the mother's proactive control versus the father's psychological control. Remember that we said mothers are always sympathetic. And because of this, and also because of their physical presence in the children's life, they always know what should be done, or they think they know what should be done, they know how it should be handled, they know a lot of things, and therefore they are proactive in everything. Look at this photo above. You will see that the father asks the child, what should I get for you? And then the mother is the one responding. He says he needs sneakers. And then the father says he can speak for himself. That is already a conflict. That is already a clash there. And you see that the clash there is because of the nature of the parents. The mother here thinks, I know what my son needs. I know what my son needs. I know exactly what this child needs. So let me tell the father what he needs. But the father there is doing a different thing. Both of them are doing something for the child, but they are doing it the wrong way, or the mother is doing it the wrong way. The father wants to provide for the child, and the father needs that the child should think for himself and be a man. But the mother there is like, I know what he needs. I know his needs. I'm always with him, so I know what he needs. He needs sneakers now. But the father wants to give the child the opportunity to do it on his own. So you see, both of them are doing a good job at parenting, but there is a problem there. So our focus for today is in that problem. It's in these differences that we have seen here in this image between the father and the mother. There is already an issue there. The mother here is trying to be kind of possessive and proactive, but the father wants to empower the child. There is already a difference, and it is that difference that we say has a problem, or that it affects the child's behavior as the child grows. When this happens once, twice, and 3 times and continues like this, then it's affecting the child, and the parents at times are even very unconscious. They don't even know what is going on in the child's mind. So we need to be very careful as parents what we say, how we say it. You might have a good intention, but your presentation will be completely out of place. So we need to be very careful how we do this.
Let me say something. I think this is where the African setting comes in. Now, today's child, what we are what we are saying is that a child should be given the opportunity to speak for himself, his or herself, and then you as a parent should do the guiding, right? And when the father wanted to hear from his son, it doesn't necessarily mean that he doesn't know what that child needs at that moment. Okay, but for the sake of boosting a child's self-efficacy, self-confidence, and what have you, there is need to hear from that child. Yes, and from there, if the child is making a wrong choice, you as a parent will now come in and guide the child properly. But saying that it is not proper or not in place for a parent wanting to know what the child needs, things that he or she needs. For me, I don't see anything wrong with that. Okay, I think this is where the African setting of parenting comes in. Thank you. Although I'm yet to see a situation where both parents have that sympathetic attitude. Okay, it's a record for me that once the father is sympathetic, look out. It must be that the mother is not sympathetic. Okay, but just as you're asking, if the situation arises and both parents are the same pathetic side, there could be a relation, there could be a teacher or someone that you find that attitude that you desire in. Okay, you can just link up your child. Okay, we don't just hire tutors or teachers for our child. Sorry, have a call.
Thank you very much, Miracle and IJ. Sorry if I don't put the title in front, just bear with me for let's have it the easy way. I will say that they have explained it very clearly. The question was directed to the child and not to the mother. And before the father, one thing we should note is that before the father asked the child, he saw the mother. And the father knows for sure that the mother knows everything that the child needs. Let's not ignore that. So the father directing to the child means that the father wants to hear from the child. He wants the child to feel involved. There are many parents or many children in our families that feel so left out in everything about them. The child will sit and will just see something coming. Will sit and will just see something coming. It's not wrong to get what your child needs, but you can involve your child in a way. If you don't involve your child, you will not even know the thoughts that child has. The thoughts that child has. For example, there are some parents who, when a child's birthday or something is coming, they will say, "What do you want us to get for you?" It is not because they don't know what that child needs. They can say, "What do you want us to get for you?" And that child will say, "I need a PlayStation." And if the parents think that that child doesn't need a PlayStation, they already know the child's state of mind. It helps the parents because they already know the child's state of mind. They know what the child is up to. Like my little cousin, she was just 6 at the time, and when they asked her, "What do you need? What should we get for you for your birthday?" She said, "I need an iPhone 12 or something like that." And then the mother was like, okay, that's good. That's very good of you. But what do you want to do with an iPhone 12? What do you know about an iPhone 12? And this discussion led the parents to understand that this was what other children are discussing in school about iPhone 12, about having big phones, about having all those things. So you see, at times those things are like prompts to get to know what the child is thinking, to get to know the child's state of mind. But if we do not allow them to speak up, then we never get their state of mind. The mother knows that the child needs the sneakers, but this question did not say that the father will not get the sneakers that the child needs. So we should always be very careful when it comes to this point. And also, this is to mostly mothers. This is where most fathers feel left out in their child's upbringing, because the mother thinks that she knows everything. The mother thinks, I can provide everything that this child needs. I know this child more than you do. All you do is to get up and go to work and come back. He is the provider. You may also be the provider, but you're closer to the child. But when we see most parents say he doesn't care about the child, he knows nothing about the child, he doesn't do anything about the child, most often, if we look critically, we will realize that it is because we did not even give them the chance that they wished to have. So let us make every parent present in the child's life. At times it could just be a father-son time, or a father-daughter time, or a mother-son, or a mother. Let us respect those boundaries. In as much as we are co-parenting, we should realize that at one point the father will need time with the child, the mother will need time with the child. Let us acknowledge those things, because we push other partners away, and then when they're irresponsible, we say they're irresponsible. All those things matter. For me, on this point where the speaker said the father was supposed to ask the mother first to know what the child needs, I think that's another point when it comes to parenting, or that's another angle that we can also look at it. If the parents agree on one thing and then they present it to a child, it shows that they are in one accord. So the child doesn't see that difference or that clash between the parents. It doesn't see the mother saying something else while the father says this. If a child is in such a situation where their parents stand on the same ground, it is a kind of positive reinforcement on that child that I am making a right decision with my parents on my side, since I am getting their guidance. So I feel that for parents too, we should not try to disagree in front of children. Like she rightly said before, we should, if the father had contacted the mother, if she had consulted the mother and they had agreed together, when the child wants to even make the decision, even though he has something else in mind, he is still going to consider, okay, my parents want this, not that I want a football and my dad wants me to get maybe a laptop and my mother wants me to get sneakers. Like these are three different options. But if he just has to choose from, it shows that the parents are in one accord, and that he can't get each parent to be against the other, which some children use to manipulate their parents at home. So I think in that case, if there was an agreement between the parents, it will help to prevent that clash, and the child doesn't have to experience that difference in the parenting. The parents must have disagreed on their own, yes, but it doesn't have to be in front of the child. Thank you. On this point, I will still want to take us back to the last slide, that is slide 5, where there is the discussion where I said we should take a look again at the exchange between the father and the mother. With the father says no going out of this house after 8 p.m. for studies or anything. But you see that the mother, because the mother feels sympathetic, or because the mother feels like, oh, you say, okay, this child has a test tomorrow, an exam tomorrow, and he needs to study, so you can go. You see, that is where the differences comes, like Amaka Ife said before. That is where the differences comes in front of the child, and then it becomes a problem, a whole lot of problem, because you see that the father there already says no going out after 8 p.m. And then the mother, right in front of the child, tells the father, no, this child has to go and study, or even if the father is not there, this child has an exam tomorrow and has to go and study so the child can go. That is a very wrong approach. We are coming to that, like our sister said. She said, you must not do that in front of the child. If the mother, you think that, you should be firm. If the mother thinks that the child needs to study because of an exam the following day, the mother should go to the father and tell the father that, okay, this child, I know it is true, the child must not go out after 8 p.m., but look at this situation. They have an exam tomorrow, and this child needs to study. What do you think about it? And if it is letting the child go, it should be the father who put the role to let the child go and not the mother. That is where we have a problem. That is the differences we are looking at in this presentation. So if the mother goes to the father and tells the father, break this your rule, or bend this your rule for the child today, then the father comes and bends the rule, then it helps the child. But when a father puts the child and the mother bends the rule, then it destroys the child completely. It confuses the child, and the child begins to think that, oh, my mother loves me more than my father. It is extremely wrong. That is one thing we should learn to avoid in parenting. You know, just a few days ago, my daughter came to me and she said, can we watch TV? Please, can we watch TV? And then I said, no, you can't watch TV because your sisters are doing their work, their school work, so you can't watch TV. It's going to distract them. And then this little girl, the one of the little girl tells the sister, let's go and ask daddy. And then she tells the sister, don't even waste your time. Because if mama has said no, don't think that daddy is going to say yes. In that case, you realize that you have already planted something in the child. The child is already growing, knowing that when the child grows, knowing that my parents always agree, it is very important than knowing that my parents always disagree. We can disagree behind the scenes, but let the child not know that we are disagreeing on that. At times the father will tell me, oh no, they have been busy doing this all day, let them watch TV. Or he would tell me, okay, I have something doing now, I need them, let them just go and watch TV. But that is behind the scene. It is not, they don't know what happened. They will never know what transpired before they are having their way in something. Whether they want to go out or they want something to eat or a game to play or something, they will never know what transpires behind the scene. That is exactly how we should, that is how we should try to parent. Nobody is perfect. There are times that you just find yourself falling in that thing, but we need to have that. When we have that at the back of our mind, it was not easy for us also to establish this in our home. But when we struggled with it for some time, we finally, when I heard this child say this thing, I said, oh, finally it is established. Because they have been working with this, we have been trying to implement this, and for her to have said that, don't even waste your time going to daddy, because if mama says no, he will not say yes, it means that it's a success, and that is the kind of success that every parent should be working towards. Talking about this slide, we see that it says they're taking out on each other attitude. There are some parents who are just so insensitive about what happens to their children that they don't even think before acting before their children. They don't even think at all. They just go ahead. For instance, you will see a father say something like, on the slide we see, John, go and get me some water. And then the mother says, for what? You have been sitting there all day doing nothing and this child has been walking. I say, oh no, John, go and get your food and eat. What kind of attitude is that in front of a child? It sounds strange. It sounds weird. But to be sincere with you, this happens in families day and night. It happens all the time. And this gets the children confused and disturbed. The parents might just do that and they don't care. Seriously, they don't care. Or maybe they did not even realize that that is what they did. But it keeps a mark in the children. It goes deep down. They are little minds, but trust me, what they store in their minds is huge. So we must be very careful. And in another case, the mother will say, John, come with me. And then the father will say, hey, no, don't go with her. Come with me all the time. You're going with her. You whatever. Those are counter words. They look very minute. But trust me, the effect on the children is huge. So we must be very careful on how we take it out on each other in front of the children. In the case of the example on the slide, the mother was already angry that the father was sitting there and doing nothing. Or maybe the father is angry that the mother has gone out all day and is with her friends and is coming back late and stuff. And then when someone asks the child to do something, the other one immediately counters. Trust me, that has a lasting effect on the child if care is not taken of it. So we must avoid all those things because there are those differences that we're talking about that affect the children. This is one of our last slides, and it's one of the most important ones because here we're going to be looking at how these differences in parenting, how this neglect between fathers and mothers affect the child's behavior. And in this slide, we'll see that there are two ways that the child is affected by these differences. They are affected by either internalizing their behavior or externalizing the behavior. But we will talk more about externalizing problem behavior. However, we'll give a touch to internalizing problem behavior, which is a situation where when all these things happen to the child, if you look at the images I sent below, you see there are some children who take it out so hard. They are like shouting, but these ones, they become introverts. They keep everything to themselves. They keep the pain to themselves. They keep the hurt to themselves. And the way it affects these ones is that in the long run, it gets very bad on them. One, because either they start behaving like their parents. It doesn't matter whether it's a relationship with their friends or it's a relationship with it's a lifelong relationship or marriage or something. They internalize these things and they take it out later on. It affects their behavior completely. And like the other picture that we sent where the child was saying, my parents have no idea how I feel. That is exactly how the children feel when those internalizing children do. They keep it inside and it's like they have no idea how I feel. They feel like, let me just disappear from this house where nobody will see me, but they don't say a word. You see them dropping in their academics. You see them dropping in their relationship with others. You see them being so lonely and so on. It is a result of what is happening, the differences between their parents that they are unable to handle. They don't know how to go about it. They don't even understand anything anymore. So they decide to shut down. Let's call it that way. They decide to shut down, and that is very dangerous for a child. But we are going to look more on the side of externalizing problem behavior. On externalizing problem behavior, the children take it out on other children. They take it out on other people. They take it out on objects. They take it out on anything that they see. You realize that children who who are from homes where parents disagree a lot, especially in front of the children, you realize that they find it difficult to obey because the parents, they don't even know who to obey. From the two parents, they don't even know who to obey anymore, and it affects them in society. When they take them to school, they cannot obey their teachers. They find it difficult to even function because what happens back home keeps repeating, it keeps playing in their minds. So they have an aspect of open disobedience, not because they wanted to, but because they're confused. They don't even know what is right anymore. And then the next thing is that they have a rule-breaking behavior. At home, at school, and in other places, they don't seem to be able to follow any rule. When they put a rule here, they want to break it because they don't know whether that rule is for the mother will accept or the father will accept. And in school, they can break the rules because they don't even know whether the other teacher or another staff will agree with what they're doing, because that is the same thing that happens at home. They don't have any strict rules to follow. They don't have a clear path to follow. So they carry the rule breaking attitude from home and they go with it to school. Why? Because if a father puts a rule and a mother breaks, or a mother puts the rule and the father breaks, it confuses the child, and you see that the child takes it out on every aspect of his life. He will not be able to be organized or anything. And then another thing is antisocial behavior or aggressive behavior. You see that these children, they find it very difficult to be sociable with other kids. They don't even know what it means to have sympathy. They don't know what a feeling of love looks like. So it makes it difficult for them to even be social. And you see that at the least thing, they're aggressive. Why? Because that is what they see at home all the time. They tend to counter people in almost everything. Someone says something, they want to say the opposite. Someone does something, they want to do it the other way. It is what they learn at home. So we should be careful because this is very dangerous to the children. And the last one is that when these things happen, and this is the most terrible one, when these things happen, children get to, since they cannot find comfort in their parents, they don't know whether there is comfort in the mother or the father, they tend to get confused. And either they choose one parent and hate the other parent, or they just hate both parents and find solace in friends. And when they find solace in these friends, it will be friends that are facing the same kind of situation that they are facing because they want to belong. They want to feel together. And so they will take it out. And this is where substance abuse starts coming in. You will see the children, they will want to take substances to put down their anger, to put down their frustrations. They will start with cigarettes, they will start with drugs, and that is how it grows and grows. And you see children keep going and getting worse. So we must be very careful with these things so that we do not push our children away, and then it becomes a problem to the society. Remember, we said parenting is a duty towards the society. Thank you so much, Teresa, for your contribution. It's true. What we need to know here is that as parents, we need to unite in the way we parent, the way we bring up our children. We need to unite. We do not need to keep that gap for the children to see that there is a gap between my father and my mother. Then they either take advantage of it or it has an effect on them. So some of the things that we will learn to do, or we should do, is that we should not counter our partner in front of the child. Even if your partner is applying a wrong disciplinary measure on the child, do not counter in front of the child. You can allow it. If you can't control it, then just leave the scene. And you can talk it out behind, not where the child is, because it affects the child. Another thing we should not do is that we should not argue over correction of a child to the hearing of that child. It's the same. If a child does something and you're deciding on whether the child should be corrected or not, the child is not supposed to hear this. At times, parents get into their rooms and they think they've locked their doors, and then they're arguing and raising their voices, and then the child gets to know. Trust me, it has a serious effect on the child. When the child gets to know, even if it is their siblings, if you look at the slide, I will say, even if it is their sibling, don't let them hear, because they are going to take the information to the child, and it has a very damaging effect on the child. The child will get to know which parent was supporting me, and supporting a child in the wrong thing is one of the most terrible that we could do as a parent, no matter what. So we should always learn to do these things behind the scene. Let the children know where we disagree. The children know where we disagree in an aspect of parenting. Like we have already heard, we should always talk it over. We should always talk it over together to see what is good for the child. If, like one of the speakers said, he said, if we agree already, the child knows that we have agreed, and there is nothing the child can do about it. As long as it is for the good of the child, we have agreed on it. And then if there's someone to change something, we should agree on the change. And one important thing is that we should never change a rule that another parent has put without that parent's knowledge. Or better knowledge. Or better still, let the parent who puts the rule put the exception. For instance, if your husband or if the father puts a rule, or maybe there are two people, a sister and a sister parenting a child, and one of them puts a rule and you need a change, go back to that person and tell that person, explain, and it will be that person to come and counter the rule, not you, because it has a wrong effect on the child. So we try to unify. We try to unify in our measures of parenting, and that is very important. Thank you.